What's up, guys? I'm back with my vlog on my RX-8. I just wanted to touch on a couple things I missed yesterday, and it's kind of starting to sprinkle, so I'm going to try to make this quick. The car, whenever we plug the scanner into it, the first O2 sensor right in front of the catalytic converter, it is getting some voltage, but very, very little, and then the one in the rear is just flatlined, no voltage at all. So that's why the check engine light is on, and it could also be due to the fact that these hoses, like right here, the plugs in them are not OEM. This one and the one behind and the one down here, they're not OEM. This one is, but the other two are not. I mean, as you can see, it just kind of falls out, and then it makes that little whistle. But yeah, just a couple things I wanted to touch on. The car is beautiful. I mean, as you can see, it's gorgeous. It's got brand new tires on it. The rims don't really have any curb rash or anything. And look at those taillights. Like, what other car do you see those taillights on? You don't see those taillights on another car. They're awesome. I love this car. I really do. For the four-port, it moves. I mean, if you want to slip the back end around and turn traction control off, it'll do it. It has no problems whatsoever. If you get above that 5,000 RPM point, you can see it's got fog lights too. It's another cool thing about this car. And if you're looking to get a standard and you can't figure out how to get it in reverse, by the way, it took me the longest time to figure this out. You have to push the stick down and then over into 6th gear, and that'll put it in reverse. My mom went to go test drive one, and she could not figure out for the life of her how to get it into reverse. And she was like, "We can't get the car if it's not gonna go into reverse." So. But yeah, as you can hear, it purrs like a kitten. Doesn't run rough at all. It's got a little bit of a tap to it from the exhaust. I think one of the tips is slap it against one of the little plastic things that holds it in place. These covers are important because they affect the airflow over the top of the engine, the air deflection. So if you have it wrong and you don't have the covers on it, it can make it run a little bit different. It probably won't make it run bad, but it will run different. And another thing about this car, the hood is so light. It's ridiculously light. I don't understand. I drove my daily car before I got this was a 2002 Honda Civic LX with a 5-speed manual gearbox. And it runs fantastic even to this day. You probably saw it in my video yesterday, sitting right next to my RX-8. I mean, the car, it does everything it should. So, I'm not complaining by any means. After we got the car, the RX-8 from the guy, I guess he put unleaded fuel in it. And whenever I took it from his house, it was the first time it had been driven more than a mile or two in the past 6 months. And the fact that it turned over and actually drove off after sitting that long is kind of amazing, and it looks as good as it does. He said he would go out and start it and stuff like that every day, but I've driven over 300 miles with it so far, and it's had no issues. None. Other than the fact that after we got it, I guess because the fuel was stale, it ran really, really, really rough. Like shaking you back and forth in your seat rough. But after putting some fuel cleaner in it and putting some of the Chevron Techron fuel in it, the premium that they sell. That's what I have in it right now, and that's how it's running the way it is. I mean, it'll put your head back in your seat. Now, because it is the 4-speed, I will spill the beans. It does feel like it lacks in power. It really does. But that could be partially due to the fact that the O2 sensors are the way they are. That was to about 40 miles an hour. Right at 38. So it's really not entirely slow. It just feels that way once you get up into the... Whenever you're on the low end, it definitely feels slow. But whenever you're on the upper end of it, the car runs perfect. There's no issues. And the way this car handles is just great. It's got 50-50 weight distribution, 225s on the front and the rear. Yeah, it will kick the back end out if you want it to. But if you don't want it to, it'll stick. You can turn your traction control back on and turn your stability control back on, and it takes care of pretty much all the slip. Unless you're on a wet road. I figured that out the hard way. I was pulling out from an intersection yesterday and put it to the floor, and it slid the back end out pretty good. It's a fun little car to drive, though. I thoroughly enjoy driving it. And you can shift in and out of the manual modes while you're just driving. Like, that's in manual mode. That's in normal automatic mode. And it does engine brake. Whenever you shift down, it will actually act kind of like a standard transmission where it'll, you know, push you forward a little bit. Cruises really well. It's got no funny noises, no anything. The only little screech that you hear every once in a while, that's my windshield wipers. Because it's raining now. Well, not hard, but you know what I mean. Don't hate. I was driving through the town closest to mine yesterday and going down the freeway, and there was some guy in a Corvette that passed me and gave me a thumbs up. That was cool. You see, everybody likes these cars. Whether you have an automatic or a standard, you're still going to get thumbs up. You're still going to get, you know, because you have the balls to drive a rotary engine. I shouldn't say the balls, but you know what I mean. Not very many people like these cars because of the type of engine they have. And that's a pretty much well-known fact. People hate all the time. Well, you have a rotary, you can't do nothing with it. They're pieces of junk. Like, so, dude. I've heard it all. I've heard it all. Trust me, I have. But I defend it because I love the car. And I love the engine. I love the way it sounds, the way it feels, how smooth it is. That's another thing. Whenever you're getting up into the higher RPM range, you can barely tell. Because it doesn't feel any more rough than it does at idle whenever you're... In fact, it actually feels smoother. sound that it makes is incredible. And it's just a beautiful car to drive. It gets a lot of attention. Yeah, I love driving my car. It feels awesome.